Thank you, Nabucco. And it's a pleasure to be here today with all of you to discuss the FAIR principles and application in articles and preprints. So I will start by here sharing the commitment of the American Chemical Society to championing research and data integrity with high standards. We focus on quality and trust in science through rigorous peer review and also by relying on editors who are active researchers. We have established ACS ethical guidelines and also comply with the Committee of Publication Ethics guidelines. And we also have dedicated resources to support ethics cases as well as the data cases and technology that allow us to identify, evaluate different cases that come to us. Again, this is all to show the commitment of ACS for reproducibility and quality of the science that we publish. And in fact, in the next slide, I share with you that around 5 years ago, around 2020, we launched the Publishing Integrity Office that, as you can see from this slide, covers both publication ethics, but also research data integrity. When it comes to publication ethics, as I mentioned, we have ethical guidelines, scope guidelines, and also training for our editors. But today we'll talk about research data integrity. And I will share with you the data policy that ACS launched, how we promote FAIR principles. Thank you, Masanori and Nabucco, for already introducing what the guidelines of the FAIR principles mean for everyone. We also have created some subfield standardization and data guidelines for different topic areas in chemistry and more, and also data and images integrity investigations that we conduct at ACS. But first, I would like to start, as I mentioned, with just a screenshot of our website where we show the research data policy the ACS launched in 2022 to show that, again, here, as you can see, we endorse the FAIR data principles for findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And I add also reproducibility is a must in science. And so FAIR principles align with reproducibility and open data availability for promoting research. On the right-hand side, I show here the data guidelines that ACS staff, together with the academic editors, have created for the scientific community. And in this case, if you go on our website, you will see that we have data guidelines for biological data, machine learning, computational data, organic chemistry data, and many more to come. So this is still a work in progress. Going a little bit deeper in the ACS research data policy, here I show the 4 different levels for the policy. Level 1 means that public data availability is encouraged from all the authors. When we go here to level 2, the public data availability is encouraged, but also there is the requirement for what we call data availability statements. And I'll provide more about the DAS. But we have this in place at the Journal of Organic Chemistry and the Organic Letters. Specifically, these 2 journals, because they're some of the oldest journals at ACS and are focused on organic chemistry, which is core to our journals. And there is a lot of data shared through these papers. Then we have here level 3, which is again public data availability required and also data availability statements. And then level 4 is the dream of every publisher, in which the data is also peer reviewed, so vetted and curated. And I'll say more about what we're doing toward this goal. I thought it would be interesting also to show an example of how this looks on the data availability statement looks on our articles. On the left-hand side here, you can see an example of the PDF paper. Again, their supporting for the data viability statement is here, linked to the supporting information, and then the FAIR data are included here in this contracted file. I'm not going to go into details about spectroscopist data versus crystallography data, but it's just to show you an example of what is in the PDF and also reflected then on the HTML version of our papers. And again, through the links here, you can do a jump to section to locate different headers, and also hyperlinked are the repositories. I mentioned earlier that we are committed to FAIR principles, not just based on our policy, right? But really our editors are focused on FAIR principles. And it was really important for me to share here an editorial from 2020 that was written by some of our editors-in-chief at Organic Letter again in the Journal of Organic Chemistry that encourages authors to submit FAIR data. And we have taken the extra an extra step by having now, for our papers again, publication with fair data. Here is another example. Again, this is the HTML version, and you can see how the fair data here are included. Oops, sorry, I went back. And again, this is reflected also on the PDF version. And all these links, again, are connected to the original data. And here is the zip file for the FAIR data. Another effort that shows the commitment of the American Chemical Society to shareability is ChemArchive. ChemArchive is a preprint server where submission is free, and so is distribution, and it's also an archives service for unpublished preprints. And this is a collaborative effort among the ACS, the Chinese Chemical Society, the Chemical Society of Japan, the German Chemical Society, and the Royal Society of Chemistry. We have about 30,000 preprints posted from authors in more than 100 countries, so very proud of it. And also we have more than 92 million views and downloads combined. This shows exactly what I was saying before, that even for preprints, it is important that data is shared and shared properly. And in the next slide, I just want to reiterate how also on ChemArchive, we pay attention to fair data principles. Again, ChemArchive is free to post and read, and we support fair data principles, even though in this case, there's no strict policy around inclusion or formatting or raw data on the preprint server. Last but not least, there's another effort of ACS publications, which is the launch of the ACS Chemistry Data Bank early in January this year. It's essentially our own data bank for researchers in the chemistry community. It's a home for chemistry data, and it's based on a larger platform called Dryad that many of you might know. But this has assigned a separate DOI for the data. And of course, is again another work in process as it was launched in January. And the journal that we are piloting with is Organic Letters. And the manuscript, we collect the data at the submission stage, and then we share. The share is optional, but data is curated and also vetted. So when I was referring to level 4, this is a step forward to the level 4 of our ACS research data policy. And again, even for the chemistry data bank, we put a lot of attention on the fair data. In fact, the chemistry data bank ensures fair data through README, which is enable authors to use the data, but also preference for open source, and can be open by readily accessible softwares. And all this to say that, of course, we support reusability, interoperability, and accessibility and findability across the board at ACS. So I will conclude this presentation with what I started with, which was a little bit of a list of things that we focus on both the data integrity and the publication ethics, again, with the goal of quality of the science we want to publish. So the data integrity is support from the Publishing Integrity Office for data cases, aligned with the launch of the ACS Research Data Policy. The data availability statements, which are required a subset of journals. Our collaborative effort with other chemistry society, including the Japanese one on ChemArchive as preprint server, and then the launch of the chemistry data bank. And I hope that I'll have more updates on the latter soon. And then we have publication ethics, which is again focused on the integrity and quality of what we publish. If you go on our website, you will also find some guidelines around the use of AI, but they're also training resources on publication ethics. And with this, I will conclude, and I will be happy to pass the microphone on to my colleague, Lisa. Thank you, everyone.